welcome back to the Bass and Wayne Show. And I'm Del Greco Wilson, and this is really just evolving. And when I say evolving, this is the second episode. But I think that this is evolving into the very best basketball show around. I'm really impressed with the stuff that these guys are getting done here. So in addition to appearing here and trying to help these guys out, I'm a fan of Bass and Wayne's. They bring a really different perspective to this thing we all so concerned about, this grassroots high school and AAU basketball, and especially at the college level. And today will be a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So before we get into it, let me bring those guys in. How you doing, Mark Bass?
I'm a young Spanish nigga from the projects. I'm gon' make it, who gon' stop it? I ain't got nothing to lose, yeah. Fuck all the rules, yeah. I'm on the move, yeah. I'm a young Spanish nigga from the projects. I'm gon' make it, who gon' stop it? I ain't got nothing to lose, yeah. Fuck all the rules, yeah. I'm on the move, yeah. Sick of the rats and roaches, sick of the
Well, Del, doing well. Malik, how you doing? Coach Chambers. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully this year be terrific for all of us. So I'm ready to jump into episode 2. Let's get started.
Malik, what's up, man? How you make it up?
What's up, Del? How you doing, Coach Chambers? How you doing, Mark? Excited about this episode. This one really means a lot to me, so I can't wait to get started.
All right, so today on Bass and Wayne's, we have a really, really special guest. Patrick Brian Chambers from Newtown Square, located where? In Delaware County, Pennsylvania.
Delco!
That's going to be a recurring theme. You know, Pat and I, we share that. You know, we both Delco boys. And Coach Chambers recently resigned his position as the head men's basketball coach in October, following what has been described as an investigation by the Penn State Athletic Department into some allegations of inappropriate conduct. Now, it was revealed that Coach Chambers made a reference to loosening a noose around the neck of one of his black players. And according to the player, Rasir Bolton, Chambers said, quote, "I want to be a stress reliever to you. You know, you can talk to me about anything. I need to get some of this pressure off of you. I want to loosen that noose around your neck." And with that statement, I think Coach Chambers was really on the way to the end of his run at Penn State. So today, before we get into all this good basketball stuff and this Philly stuff, I just want to ask Coach Chambers, man, because I known the guy really well for all 10 years that he was at Penn State. So, Coach Chambers, how you doing, and what the fuck was you thinking about, man?
Little dude, great to see you. And Mr. Bassy, great to see you. Happy New Year, man. We've known each other a long time.
Yes.
I appreciate that intro there, Del. Look, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I swung and missed as a leader. Despite the context of what I was trying to do, it didn't matter. It fell flat. And, as a leader, and this is why I'm going to use this as a positive and a spring forward, as a leader, we need to be more mindful of the words that we use. It's specifically me, I use the word. And I am so sorry for using that word. And since that point, almost 2 years ago, I've taken a deep dive into the history. Del, you and I talked about going to the museum in D.C. when we were going to scrimmage Georgetown. And I'm still taking a deep dive and learning and educating as much as I can. And I will continue to do that. But we definitely need to be more mindful in how we approach our players. And moving forward, I think I'm going to be that much better for my next opportunity. I mean, I've done, if you look at my body of work and look what I've done over my tenure, looking at Malik, I recruited him to Villanova way back in the day. And I just believe in my heart that not only will I be that much better, my staff will be that much better, and we can really help these kids along like I did at Penn State, like I did at BU, and like I did at Villanova.
All right. So Bass and Malik, when you first heard about these allegations surrounding Coach Chambers, what crossed your mind? What came to your mind? And secondly, as Coach Chambers is trying to spring forward and reorganize his coaching career, what should be the takeaway from the Penn State run that he had all 10 years? If you were a university president or an AD, would you consider Coach Chambers for your head men's basketball coaching position? Go ahead, Malik.
Well, me, when I first heard it, I know Coach Chambers since I've been like a 14, 15-year-old kid. You know what I mean? Had plenty of interactions with him and things like that. So I think it's just like, I think for me, I knew it was just an honest mistake, you know what I mean? Or not even a mistake. It was just probably just, basketball, it gets heated sometimes in practices, and things like that. And, something might have just came out. But I knew for a fact that, like, with everything in me, I can stand on that. I know Coach, didn't mean anything like that. He's been great to our city. He's been great to, get kids opportunities, from tough areas, tough neighborhoods. He's been doing it for a long time. So, I know this is just a bump in the road for him that he'd get over.
Bass?
I was shocked when I heard it because Pat and I spent many times on AAU circuit watching games together. Couldn't believe it. I think now, like Pat said, it's a learning opportunity for him. And I do believe he's going to get another opportunity. Could be this year, could be next year. But now I think with that opportunity, how he's going to present himself now to his staff. When he's interviewing for his staff and you have African American and you sitting face to face with him, he asks you about that. How have you learned from that? How you learn, how can I trust you now when we sit in either on Zoom or in these African Americans' living room? Now we got to turn it around and make sure they feel comfortable with you. So it's going to be a step. It's going to be a process, I think, for Coach Chambers. I truly believe he can overcome it, but it's going to be some steps and process because there's going to be people that's going to say, you know what? Don't mess with him. What he said was wrong. Don't mess with him. And that's just how the ball bounce sometimes. But then you're going to have some people say, you know what? He's a good guy. He got so many friends. He's been to Philadelphia, recruited the hell out of Philadelphia kids. They show love for him. He show love for his players. The players show love for him. So it's going to be a work in progress. But I do think that a president and an AD and a board of trustees going to give him another shot.
I agree. And I really kind of agree with what both of you guys said. And Malik, the part where you said that he took a lot of kids from, troubled neighborhoods and questionable backgrounds. And, he gave them a chance at Penn State. That's what I really take away the most from what Coach Chambers did at Penn State. That's what means the most to me. I know for a fact that even though he took those guys from those neighborhoods, some of those guys brought the habits and the behaviors from those neighborhoods up to that campus. And over a 10-year period, there were a few incidents, some serious, some not so serious. But what was always consistent was Pat's willingness to really find out what was the root cause of whatever the behavior was that he was observing and trying to deal with that root cause and just not throw away a kid because of a mistake or two or four or five. Pat hung in there. And I respected that. And like Bass said, it's going to be a lot of people that say, hey, man, I'm done with him. Just because of that incident, I'm not going to ride with him no more. Well, those people were very vocal. And they came out in opposition because I'm like Bass, I know the man. I've seen what I've seen. And I've seen coaches dismiss and toss kids away for much, much less than things that Pat Chambers has dealt with over 10 years. So when I looked at his body of work, it was a no-brainer for me. I'm just excited to see where he ends up, man, if he's a head or an assistant or if it's high major, mid-major. You know, he might end up at a HBCU for all I know. I don't I know the guy wants to coach. So let's talk a little bit of basketball. Matter of fact, we got to talk Philly basketball because we got all that stuff under the behind us. Let's talk to Pat from Delaware County. And I think that Pat is the perfect guest for this Philly basketball conversation because he's seen so much. Chambers started out in May of 2004, right, Pat? You the director of operations. And then in June of 2011, you're a Big Ten head coach.
I want to take you back real quick, Del. I was a high school assistant coach.
What year?
I was fortunate enough, Bass, I'm taking you back now. I was fortunate enough to coach Gerald Henderson and Wayne Ellington at the Episcopal Academy on City Line, the real one on City Line. No offense to my nieces and nephews going to Episcopal right now. Man, I would be a mistaken if
Bash, you remember?
I don't.
It had to be 02, 03, 04, right around there because
and
that's
you were the assistant coach on that?
Yeah, you remember Dan Doherty? You guys remember Dan Doherty?
So you were an assistant high school coach in 2002.
So think about this. Gerald Henderson was already there. Great guy, great family. I went and recruited Wayne Ellington out of Daniel Boone High School. If you remember this story at all. So I recruited him to Episcopal. Those guys were, Duke and North Carolina. They were off the charts.
Well, okay, Pat, the question I want to get at, because, Bass had a 20-year career, and you ran into him on the road all the time. I actually got in the car and schlepped around with him a lot, these hot gyms. He did it for 20 years. Now, you came in 04 as a director of operations, and by June 2011, you're a Big Ten head coach. Malik Waynes wants to get in this business. You got to give up the secrets, man. How do you make those kind of moves? That's what people want to know.
Before that, Pat, you went from operations to an assistant.
Correct.
So somebody left and you got bumped up.
Correct.
Then you went from there, before you went to Penn State, you went to BU.
Correct.
So how did all that transpire?
So obviously Gerald and Wayne are there, and a lot of coaches are coming through. They see me, and I get an opportunity, right? The director of ops opens up at Villanova. So Jay Wright tags me for that position, and I worked hard. Look, I was loyal. I worked 7 days a week. Our core values lined up. I treated it like it was my family. Literally, Malik would know this because I recruited Malik. He became part of my family. There were deep, genuine, authentic relationships that were built on trust. And that's why you get so many, almost 20 kids out of the city of Philadelphia or the surrounding area to Penn State and BU, by the way. DJ Irving, Don Morris, and Travis Robinson.
Mike Terry.
Mike Terry, who we just talked about. And of course, Matty Griffin, the head coach of Roman. Mm-hmm. So we were able to do that. So I think the ascension, which is totally unheard of, right? I was just very lucky in the right time, right place, right time. But I think you create your own luck too, right? You create the opportunity of working hard and doing things the right way and winning. You got to win. Guys are graduating, and you're bringing in great players, like Malik Lanes, like Corey Fisher, like Corey Stokes, like Scotty Reynolds, like all these great players, and then all the great players. So you start to just, and then
How many interviews did you go on before you got the BU gig? How many jobs did you put in for? More than 10?
At least two. At least two.
So you got the third job that you applied for.
But let's back up.
But Bass, hold on, Bass. You're right, because Bass is correct. I was the director of ops. Somebody left. I moved to third. Somebody left. I moved to second.
Yeah.
How about this? The year before we go to the Final Four in 2009, Kyle Lowry had just left, right? He was a first-round pick, right? We went to the Elite Eight that year. Or there was a year in between. But so Brett Gunning goes to the Houston Rockets in August.
Yeah.
August of 08-09. I become the head associate coach in 08-09, and we go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Also, little dude, you worked hard recruitment though. Like you were you had your work ethic was unbelievable recruiting. So you was able to get like top players, like, you know what I mean? It was easy. Like he's the sole reason him and coach, or why I went to Villanova. Like people would talk about like the Kyle Lowry, like the Kalo, you know what I'm saying? The connection of, obviously I went there because, you know, like I looked up to Kyle and, you know, I thought I played a little bit similar and Lonnie thought I played similar, but Pat, the way Pat recruited me is the reason why I went to Villanova.
So let me ask you this. Odell, let me ask this question. So Malik, when Pat was recruiting you, it was just based on, because I want the kids to know when you're getting recruited in today's basketball, you're getting recruited based on relationship.
Yeah.
So you had a great relationship first with Pat Chambers. Then he had to go to Jay and say, Jay, this is so kids, when you being recruited, it's about relationship. Throw about, I'm going to Villanova to get an education. Damn that. You're going to Villanova because your relationship with Coach Chambers and your relationship with Jay Wright. So when you recruit and people out there, that's why you're going to college. And that's why these kids, when a guy get fired.
I don't even think people realize, like, Coach Chambers did such a great job recruiting me. Like, I ascended. Like, when I committed as a sophomore, I was probably like top 75, top 100. And I ascended. And my goals changed. Like, you know what I mean? My things changed. And it was like the situation at Villanova changed. But I was so comfortable with Coach Chambers, I still went to Villanova and, like, didn't even worry about, like, what didn't change or what was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Because I was just so comfortable. So I think kids like need to have a guy like that at any school that they're going to, where though they have that level of comfortability with them.
So
let me go down the list.
Wait, hold on, Del. Before you go down that list, a lot of kids and parents have to understand what Malik just said. It can't go over their head. He just said he committed to Villanova as a sophomore. So Pat did a hell of a job getting in
early.
In the
top 100.
So Bass, Del, what I would say, little dude, what I would say is it's about trust, right? I mean, I wouldn't send my son to play for a coach that I didn't trust or had a great relationship with. College isn't a business. The NBA is a business. I was just at the Magic and Cavs game last night to see Lamar. He played 14 minutes, by the way. I was so proud of him because that was his most significant minutes that he's had all year. But that's the relationship aspect of it. You can't just send, this is a business, he's going to be there 1 or 2 years and he's out. That never happens. It doesn't work that way. And if it does, there's not a great ending to that. Or it takes a little bit longer to get to where you want to go.
So how do you explain Bass and Malik? How do you explain? Let me go down this list. DJ Newble, Strawberry Mansion. Brendan Taylor, Trenton Catholic. Johnny Johnson, Life Center, Girard. Julian Moore, Germantown Academy. Shep Garner, Roman. Tony Carr, Roman. Lamar Stevens, Roman. Mike Watkins, MCS. Nazir Bostic, Roman. John Arar, Strathaven. Kyle McCloskey, Germantown Academy. Seth Lundy, Roman. Isaiah Brockington, Ryan. Sam Sessoms, Shipley. Does does Pat just have a unique gift for relating to kids from this area, Bass, or is he just out working people? How do you explain that kind of recruitment over an 8-10 year period?
I think it's both. He's from the area. He knows the coaches, and he has a unique way to relating to these kids. And also, the kids fit what he's trying to do at Penn State. So it all comes together. It all comes together. He knows the high school coaches. He knows the AAU coaches. He knows the parents. So he's been around. They know him. They know his face. So it all works together. And like he said earlier, when a parent asks you, yo, I need you to trust you. I need to trust you with my pride and joy. You gotta trust him with his pride and joy. So you all in. You all in.
Malik, you and I have had discussions about what can be done differently to help keep some of the kids home. And I teased Pat for all 10 years. I told him once he started after DJ, he was like a City 7 school. He kept I don't think any of the other schools, maybe Ryder has an equal number of kids from this area, maybe Ryder. I think he's got more than anybody else. Is there something that in Chambers' approach that the other guys can maybe borrow from us in terms of just staying in the region, staying in the area, Malik?
I think it's simple. I think Coach Chambers just does a great job identifying early talent. And I think in recruiting, that's a big part of recruiting because like the area we come from and the things that a lot of these guys come from, these kids, they're big on loyalty and they're big on who were the first people that, that acknowledged them, who were the first guys that, made them feel like they were Division I players, who were their first offers and things like that. So Coach Chambers gets in early, he shows these guys the love. And then even when some schools, the big schools come in and it's time to compete with them, these guys feel loyal and they feel like, he's been showing me love since the beginning. So I know for me, that's what it was. And I know for some of these kids, I think, that's the biggest thing in it. Just the loyalty aspect of it and just being the first to acknowledge my talent.
So Coach Chambers, why Philly? I mean, when you got there, did you just say, you know what? I just want to hone in and really make inroads right here where I'm from? Or did it kind of just happen after you got DJ? Why so many guys from Philly?
I think everybody's right on this call right now. It's the roots. It's your foundation. It's relationships, trusting relationships, right? Genuine, authentic relationships that you've had since you were a little kid playing in Sunny Hill. I mean, that's where it goes back to, and then it just matures. Now I'm older and I have kids. Everybody's older. They have kids. Now those kids are going to be, recruitable athletes. And that's how it kind of all starts, right? And look, they're tough. Come on, Philly kids are tough. But
before you came along, they weren't really Big Ten kids. We had like Rodney out of Illinois with Marcus Liberty and them. We just didn't have a bunch of Big Ten kids. Now you got Dante Scott, Hakeem Hart, you got AJ Hogard, you got Jamil Browns going to Purdue. I think Pat Chambers opened the Big Ten can of whoop ass on the Philadelphia market as far as scholarships. Do you? I see. And then you slick behind. You bring 2 good games here. You sell out the Palestra. Kids see it up close. Bass and Malik, when you first saw him going this way, did you think he would really be able to compete with these kids he was getting from Philly? Did you think it was a smart move?
I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. I think the difference, besides take Villanova out of the equation, and when you sit there and say Temple, St. Joe's, Drexel, LaSalle, and now you say Penn State. Well, when you say Penn State, you're saying Big Ten. So it's either Big East, now you're saying Big Ten. Mm-hmm. And kids love that.
They really do.
The kids love the beautiful woman. That's what they want. So when they see, she's sexy. Big East, Big Ten, she's sexy. So they gonna go with the sexy girl. It's that's the way. And when you get up there to State College and you look around, you're in a different world. You're not getting that here in Philadelphia. Like I said, exclude the main line. but you're not getting that feel at State College that you're going to get down in Philadelphia in the area. The kids, and you, especially if you go to a football game.
I kind of like I agree with Mark, but I kind of like in a way I think it's different. I don't think it has anything to do with like campus. I don't think it has anything to do with facilities. Like it does, you mean to a certain extent, but when you can get a kid like Maurice Watson, who's the all-time leading scorer in Philadelphia history, who's probably a Big East kid, you know, from the beginning, to go to Boston to BU to be able to do that, and then go to Creighton and be All-American. You know what I mean? Those type of kids that go to BU, I'm pretty sure he could have went to LaSalle or you know what I mean? So it was just the level of trust and comfortability with Coach Chambers. You know what I mean? So I think that had a big part of it. Like I don't really know more. So I know because I visited Penn State as like a freshman or early in my sophomore year. And it's the same campus, same arena, you know what I mean? Same everything. I just had no interest in it. You know what I mean? The campus and stuff is bigger and better than a lot of campuses, but
yes,
you know what I mean? I think it's the coach and the relationships, and then the level of trust that you have.
Well, Pat, these guys in Philly, some of them say they want to stay and play in Philly. Some of the Philly coaches are saying that they want to attract more of the Philly kids. Can you just give them, I know you can't give up all the secret herbs and spices, but can you just give up a little bit that could help, you know, a Spiker, a McKee, a Billy Lang, and Ashley Howard in terms of keeping these Philly six, the top kids home when they're rumbling against Penn State, Rutgers, and Maryland for the best kids?
Yeah, those guys know what they're doing. They're really good recruiters. Their staff's doing a great job. I think for us, from my vantage point, it was get the kids up on campus, show them about the Big Ten. The Big Ten network, Dell, is huge. You're going to be on TV, national TV, every single night. I think player development is critical. It's huge. Obviously, we have had 4 pros in the last 6 or 7 years. That helps. And you got to win. We started winning. When you start winning and you're selling out the Palestra and you're able to, and that's a home game for us, or we're allowed to bring recruits to that game and they see that atmosphere. It's hard to say, hey, I don't want to go to Penn State or a Big Ten school. And oh, by the way, the Big Ten has led the country in sellouts. So every arena you go to is sold out. It's insane. So you're being watched. The NBA is watching you. Scouts from all over the world are watching you. And I do believe that's a big part of it. And you got to be willing to not listen to the top 100 ESPN and not listen to your donors and the boards that are killing you. Why is he getting the 3-star? Why is he getting the 2? Hey, Brockington was going to NJIT. He was going to NJIT.
John Harrar was going to be
John Harrar was going
Saturday.
to football.
Yes.
He was going to play football.
Sam had the one offer at Binghamton. He went up there for 2 years. I mean, DJ, you know, DJ coming Newville, out of Southern Miss.
He opened the door. You know, Dale, you and I have talked in the past. You're like, you opened the door, you know, City 7, all this stuff. DJ Newville took a chance. He had the confidence and courage and the belief, and again, goes back to trust, that, hey, I'm going to go with this guy. He's going to develop me. You know, he's going to make me better. And oh, by the way, I'm going to get a degree from Penn State with over 750,000 living, breathing, paying alums. So when that ball stops bouncing, these guys are going to be taken care of because they've been seen on national television so much.
All right. Well, look, we're in the midst of this pandemic. And everything is really different. Some of the most prominent college coaches in the country have come out and said they don't even think we should be playing at all, including Coach K. Pat, are you okay with the NCAA moving forward with the season? And are you okay with the NCAA tournament plans as they've outlined them in Indianapolis, how they're going to try to have everything in one city, limit all the moving around and all of that stuff?
Well, I was in it right up until mid-October there, and it was challenging for sure. I did feel, though, as that we should proceed and try to play. I thought the mental health So first of all, it's safety and health, right? It's your safe. Is everybody safe? Is everybody going to be healthy? We're going to test every single day, and we're going to make sure of that. So that's number one, safety and health. Okay, we got it. I also would tag to that mental health. I felt like some guys, even staff, were really struggling without the spring workouts. Look, we were in the NCAA tournament. We didn't get to hear our name. We didn't get to play in the NCAA tournament. Lamar Stevens was 7 points away from being the all-time leading scorer in the history of Penn State. We didn't have spring workouts. Our summer workouts were late, but we had them. Like the mental health of being on the court, being coached by your coaches, being with your teammates in a locker room, getting to play games, practicing some normalcy. I feel it was critical. It was critical. And I still think, and I don't know this to be true, but I see some guys stepping away, opting out, doing some things. I just think sometimes the wear and tear mentally is worse than the physical.
What about the tournament, all in one city?
You know what? If that's our bubble, if that's our Disney World, I guess that's what they're trying to do. To have an NCAA tournament, and we all know why the NCAA needs an NCAA tournament. You can't lose $1 billion again for the second year in a row. I'm okay with it. Again, it goes back to the safety and the health of the coaches and players.
Pass?
I agree with everything he said. We needed some basketball. The kids needed. You just can't have kids if they're not playing basketball. What are they doing? You're driving yourself crazy. So I'm glad that we're playing. You got to take care of yourself. And with them being in Indianapolis, I think it's a good idea. Hopefully it works out. Hope it's not like what you hear with the national championship in football. Ohio State, they might have to push it back another week. So it's something we had to deal with. Hopefully everybody is doing what they have to do, wearing a mask, washing your hands, staying 6 feet, so you got to do whatever you have to do to continue to play. So I just hope and pray that everyone is doing that.
Malik?
I'm glad they figured something out and were able to come to some type of terms to be able to play just even the season and in the NCAA tournament, because as a player, as a kid, the level of anxiety is probably like through the roof for these kids, just not knowing what's next, not just, this summer, if they was going to have a year, some seniors didn't know if they were going to be able to get their year back or things like that. So I'm glad they got everything figured out, and, it's some type of level of normalcy for these kids. The NCAA tournament going to be different without fans, but they still get to experience in a way that I think it's still to be, memorable for them. So I'm glad they figured it out.
All right. Hey, Pat, I got a question. For a couple years now, I've been arguing that you, combined with the admission of Maryland and the rise of Rutgers, really transformed Mid-Atlantic East Coast basketball. I think the Big Ten wasn't really a thing. When you were hired at Penn State, Big Ten basketball really wasn't a thing in Baltimore, in Philly, in Delaware, in South Jersey. It really wasn't. But since Rutgers come in and they've gotten that program together, and then you got Maryland coming in, 3 of their top 6 are from right around our area, like the Big Ten is a big deal. And then you look up and the Big Ten could probably have, 2 or 3 teams in the Final Four. You think they could pull off something like that? How good is the league, and how big of an impact do you think the league is having in transforming East Coast basketball?
I'm a young Spanish nigga from the projects. I'm gon' make it, who gon' stop it? I ain't got nothing to lose, yeah. Fuck all the rules, yeah. I'm on the move, yeah. I'm a young Spanish nigga from the projects. I'm gon' make it, who gon' stop it? I ain't got nothing to lose, yeah. Fuck all the rules, yeah. I'm on the move, yeah. Sick of the rats and roaches.
The league is unbelievable. It was ridiculous last year. I think we were going to have 9 in the tournament. This year they could have 10 in the tournament. The only issue I see is we wear each other out mentally and physically. We just beat each other up all year long and fighting and scratching, because every game typically is close. It's always a 1 or 2 possession game, and that can wear you out. I witnessed it firsthand last year to my team. We're fighting for a Big Ten championship, and it just took a lot of energy and effort out of us mentally and physically. So going into the tournament, do I think there could be 2 teams? Absolutely. And who would those teams? Iowa has everything. Wisconsin has a lot. Michigan is absolutely rolling. Illinois has a great point guard, great bigs. And then your outliers are like Minnesota and Rutgers.
Yeah.
And I love those teams. I love Pikes. I coach against Pike in the America East. And going against him, his team's going to be well coached. They're going to play hard. And what Richard has done by bringing over some of these transfers, I mean, that's the scary thing, Del. There's a topic right there that we can hit later on here. All these transfers and high school kids and how do you stay relevant? How do you stay old? And how do you keep competing the way these guys do year in and year out? It's just pretty amazing.
Can you straddle the fence? They had a graphic on the Wisconsin game. I think they were like 24, 24, 23, 23, 23, and 22. And then you look at, some of the way Duke and Kentucky, Arizona, some of those schools approach it. They're going to be 19, 19, 20, 21. Can you kind of mix and match it? Do you have to go one way or the other?
No, I think you can mix and match. It depends on the chemistry and the connectivity of the locker room and the love for the players and the coaches. And we saw that, right? We made it to a top 10. We were 9th in the country. When you have that, everything is just gelling. Everything is beautiful. The locker room's great. Everything's going. Wisconsin always has somebody sit out. Villanova does that too. They sit a guy out. I don't know if you can afford to do that anymore with the 1 year. I don't know, Bass. I'd love to hear what you have to say. 1 year transfer exception and now name, image, and likeness. Like the landscape of recruiting as we know it is changed.
Totally transformed.
It's done. It's done. Depending on how many scholarships you have. I mean, if you have 4, what are you going to do? Hold 2 for transfers and hold 2 for high school?
So if we were in a coaches meeting, Bass, what would your answer be? Will we go after high school guys, or do we hold out and see what's going to happen on the free agent market?
I'll hold out. Hold out experience.
Easy choice.
Because now you're looking at guys getting that extra year back. You're going to have an older guy. Now you're going to bring a high school kid that might not be ready. 9 times out of 10, that high school kid is not ready. And you bring him, he's not ready. He's going to be unhappy. And by the end of that year, he's going to bolt.
So does this affect recruiting this year for high school seniors?
Yeah,
like if you have a freshman at a lower level who's averaging 16 a game as a true freshman at a lower level conference, and wants to transfer the next year and is going to have 4 years because he gets his year back, or do you take a senior that's in high school now, that's a top kid? It's a tricky situation right now.
Hey, Pat, so Pat, that's your choice. A kid in the NEC or the America East gets 16 a game as a freshman, or a high school kid. Well, I mean, what are the factors you weighing?
You just said Wisconsin is 23, 24, 22, 21, and I'd be surprised if they don't make the Final Four this year. So I'm with Bass when I say if I have a choice, it's Sam Sessions and a point guard coming out of Philly who's just a senior in a high school. I'm going with Sam Sessions. He's got 2 years under his belt in college, and he's already proven that he can put the ball in the basket. So, and for us, when we were good, and I know St. Joe's, for Bass, I think you would say the same, when we were older, we were better. Tony's freshman year, everybody thought we were going to win the Big Ten championship. It's just not the way it happens anymore. Not for Penn State anyway. It wasn't going to happen that way. We were competitive. We beat Michigan State at the Palestra, but it wasn't going to happen, right, until they got older and figured it out. They had to go through those experiences. And once they did, that's why Wisconsin, they got 5 years of experience of wins and losses and close games and one possessions. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly where each guy is going to be on the floor. That is connectivity at its best. Same with Iowa. And
when you older, you don't have to micromanage everything because you can rely on your older guys and they can lean on those younger guys. So you ain't putting a lot of pressure on your freshman and sophomore when you got juniors and seniors and some fifth-year seniors on your team. And as a coach, you want that because you're not micromanaging. So now you go to practice, you might just be walking through because you know what? My older guys get it. They understand. So now as the, I don't know if they're going to have a Big Ten tournament or whatever, but when those guys go to the tournament, they're going to be ready, mentally ready. That's what you, at the end of the year, you want to be mentally fresh.
Malik, did they answer your question? I think it's pretty clear that the high schoolers are suffering under the new set of rules that we're all operating under. And I think they're suffering significantly. I can point to kids that I think would ordinarily have multiple low to mid major Division I offers that have nothing. And
I think it's working. It's working other ways too. I think it's affecting some like those lower level programs. Now kids are playing for stats. They're playing to get to those high majors. You know what I mean? They're knowing that they can leave and they'll be looked at as a 4-year player. So they're like pressing as freshmen at those schools, and they could be hurting those programs. So I think it's it's working both ways.
And now it's twofold because now how do you educate those high school seniors? Because now they're pressing. Nobody's calling. I don't get a Zoom call for nobody. So what's my next step? So now it's a trickle down effect.
So what advice did you give an 11th or 12th grader that maybe was all league or all honorable mention, all state, and he wanted to really make an impression? What do you say to that kid? How does he manipulate his situation to make it the best for him?
Yeah, Tate. You might have to think about prep school. So you can be a year older if you go to prep school. So those are the things you have to think about. Who's on the phone for you?
Coach Chambers?
Yeah, I'm thinking about as Bass is talking. I believe you got to get with your high school coach, your AAU coach, and your family, and you need to have a real sit down on, all right, this is the way it is now. What's the best?
Do you think everyone understands this transformation that you just mentioned? You think most high school coaches know it's really different out here? Do you think most AAU guys know that it's really different out here? I get the sense that some guys haven't really internalized the change.
I think they got to get together and understand, hey, we're either going to prep or we're going to be patient and we're going to wait to the very end because guys are going to transfer, guys are going to leave, guys are going to turn pro, and there's a scholarship. Or like Malik, hey, I found my wife as a sophomore. I found her. She's beautiful. That's where I'm going. They love me. They want me. That's the other thing. The school that's giving you the most attention, that's probably the right place. That's probably the place you should go. That's probably, I mean, it's that simple, but we make everything so complicated.
Oh, I hate it.
We overthink things, and we're looking at the latest rankings and am I a 3-star? Am I 75? Am I 100? That stuff is baloney. Lamar Stevens wasn't even a top 100 kid. He's on the Cavs right now. Tim Frazier, who just got picked up by the Memphis Grizzlies, was a 2-star. Prove it on the court. Prove it on the court. Take care of your academics. Prove it on the court and show yourself. They'll find you when you're that good.
I hated it when I was at St. Joe's and you were in a guy and they, just wait, coach. He coming. And you know in the back of your head, he's waiting for that other school. That's what pisses me off. Like, just be honest. I'm going to buy her a drink, but I'm going to wait to buy you a drink if she don't accept it. Right. And that's why, look, I don't want your drink now. That's how it used to go down. That's how it used to go down. Like, I'm waiting for Villanova and Penn State to call me, but they might not call you. If they call you, that means they didn't get their top guy. So that people has to understand. And like what Pat said, if you fall in love and go with it.
Malik?
So I had a question for coaches because I always wanted to like to you know what I mean, to notice. So if a kid does that, right, and you know what I mean, doesn't, and then he wants to come back, so he goes to the school that he went to, and then he wants to transfer back to you guys. Did you take those type kids, or you don't take those type kids back?
Sometimes you got to eat crow.
I was going to say, Malik, I never burned bridges. I always felt like whoever we were recruiting, we were the best fit. And if they chose, somebody else, I just said, hey, we're going to be your biggest fans and we'll support you. Because you just, as Bass is saying, you just don't know. And with this transfer exception now, this 1 year, it's like, hey, you better build relationships with everybody and keep them.
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Would there be some kids that you wouldn't want to come back? Would you have some fourth year guys? You'd be like, you know what, man, you might want to go to Wall Street or go sell commodities, or would you just take every kid that wanted to come back, Coach?
This time is so hard for me because we just talked about the Sam Sessoms example of, you want to stay older. And I like to build programs. I like relationships. I like the foundation of it. I like what we did at Penn State. I like how we build it. So it's hard. It's hard for me. I would never want to recruit somebody off of Kentucky's bench, you know what I mean? Or Kansas's bench or Duke's bench. That's just not my makeup. And to me, that's so hard. Just the integrity of it. And but that's what it's going to be, right? Yes. That's what it's going to be. You're going to have a list of guys that, okay, this guy is unhappy. Okay, he's on your list, right, Bass? We got a list over here, potential transfers. We got a list over here, best high school players. We took a couple JUCOs. We got a junior college list over here. It's insane.
Now, playing games, you might have a guy on your staff saying, yo, look at the box score, see who's not playing well, see who, he might be unhappy. Keep that on the side, because we might make a phone call because look, he ain't playing. He might be disgruntled and unhappy at the end of the year.
Dale, I would just say I would always keep my guys. If I was still the coach at Penn State, I would want Jamari and John and Trent to stay, because it's a foundation you've built. You have older guys that are going to be 22, 23 now, and they know, just Bass was saying earlier, they basically take ownership of the program. They're taking care of everybody. They're making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. It's never easy, right? It's never easy, but it does. When you're older, it becomes a little better. It definitely does. You don't always have to watch over people's backs. So for me, I'm just talking about me, I would keep my guys.
All right. So will we see you on a college sideline next year? And what capacity would you be interested in working? I mean, you might want to go all the way back down to Dobo, man. You probably be an SEC coach in 3 years if you start.
I was very blessed. There's no doubt. And even sitting here today in the current situation I'm in, I feel blessed. And I do. I feel like I'm going to get a great opportunity, whether it's a head coach or assistant coach. I think my body of work over my career, 20 years, would tell families when I sit in their living room who I am and what I've done for a lot of inner city kids across the board, too. You're talking DJ Newbill, Strawberry Mansion, Mike Watkins, from one of the toughest neighborhoods that I've ever seen in my entire life. And he got his degree, Del. Yep. He got his degree. Both those guys did. And I'm proud of that. And I will always be proud of that. And I will always be loyal to Philadelphia and inner city kids. So I'm hoping I'm very hopeful that I have a chance to be a head coach. If not, I know I can be valuable as an assistant to somebody on the collegiate level with all the experience that I have over the last 20 years. Could be really valuable to somebody.
I know you'd be great in this area.
Somebody gonna grab him.
I know this area. One mistake, that I don't even that you helping numerous inner city kids. In this city, that trumps that. Like you changed the trajectory of a lot of families. You know what I mean? You helped a lot of people help their families out. So I'm pretty sure that people still remember that in the back of their minds. So you always have Philly to be able to come back to.
Bass?
I think you get a chance, no doubt about it. It just take one school to make that phone call and be interested and fall in love with Pat. I think he deserves a chance. I think he'll get his chance.
No part of you just want to grab a mic, man, and be the funny guy and say some, be the new Dickie V and all that stuff. Coach, you want to get back in the trenches?
It crossed my mind for 1 second, and then this is a true story. It crossed my mind, and I was investigating it just hanging it up, and then I got a phone call from Tony Carr Jr. A week ago or so, and he's in the gym with Kyle Sample, who's the greatest, and Mike Terry's working him out. And a bunch of other guys are there, Reggie Redding and a bunch of other guys. And he goes, I didn't know the impact that you had on this city and specifically a lot of players that we're all together. I'm telling you, this is no joke. And I'm not just trying to, pump myself up here. I was literally thinking about the media world until that phone call. And I said, what am I doing? This is what I'm good at. I impact kids' lives and hopefully give them a better life. Hopefully give them a map for success. I can't let one mistake take me down. I got to learn from that mistake. I got to get better from that mistake, apologize for that mistake, and then go do what I've done for the last 17 to 20 years of impacting kids' life and giving them a chance. And I think we've done that.
Well, I think it's been a really fascinating ride, going along with your career. I tell the truth, man. When you got the job and DJ asked me, I said, you had Daly on staff at the time. I said, I really like Brian Daly. I hear good things about Pat Chambers. I think those guys are going to look out for you. I think you're going to get your ass kicked in the Big Ten. I just believe that. Then when you was recruiting CD, I said, now CD, I know for a fact that they'll look out for you. They're going to take good care of you. You won't want for anything, but I think you're going to get your ass kicked in the Big Ten. The last few years, I haven't been saying that, man. You brought Penn State to the point where I honestly couldn't say, I'd be like, yo, you go there, you fuck around and make the tournament, and they're going to look out for you and take care of you. So that's a really long journey for Penn State basketball in this region, because I'm telling you, Coach, it just wasn't even a thing. Nobody really thought about it, not at the level that you guys were able to come in and become a force. So for that, I respect your accomplishments, man. Don't let this little, whatever it was, tear all that stuff down, man. You got a lot done in those 10 years.
Thanks, Del. Hey, Malik, I know you're thinking about coaching. Bass and I can help you, right, Bass? We can help you. But my ascension was unique. It's weird, right? We're just saying it. I'm listening to you talk about it, Don. I'm like, no, it's rarely done. It took us almost 6 years to get good at Penn State. 6 years. That's, Bass, that is so long. That is such a long time to build it. So what I would just tell you, why I'm telling you this is just be patient and know that it's not all going to happen right away. And if you do the right things and you take care of these kids, coaches like the Jay Wrights of the world the City Six coaches will all see that, and they'll all want you on their staff. But you got to be patient and do the right things.
Gotcha.
Any last words, gentlemen? Anything you want to say in closing, Malik?
No, I just I'm humbled, man. I'm around three, great basketball minds. I'm still a young kid. I'm 29, not even 30 yet. Coach, I hung him up a little early. I had 5 knee surgeries. It was time for me to get on this side of it. But I'm humbled to be in this, in a room like this, to be able to talk basketball with you great minds, and you know what I mean, just to see you guys.
Good luck, Malik. I got your number now. You're in trouble. I got your number now.
Hey, Malik, anybody on any other AAU rosters you want to speak glowingly of this week, we'll give you.
I'm new to the AAU world, man. I don't want no beef. I don't want no problems with no AAU guys. I'm trying to be neutral, man.
What about a We Are One power forward or a team final 2 guard that you think might?
Malik, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't fall into the trap, man.
Tell him. That's right. You think college is cutthroat? AAU is cutthroat, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm seeing, Coach, and it's happening fast for me.
Hey, Bass, what you got in closing?
Well, Pat, I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do, sharing your story, and I know in the end you'll come out on top. Like you said, be patient. Continue to write in your book, get your plays ready, because you got to hit the ground running. When they call it, you got to hit the ground running. So continue to work hard and be blessed. Family be blessed. And once again, Happy New Year's to you.
Happy New Year to you, Bass. You get ready too, Bass. You get ready, my friend.
Yep.
Take us home, Coach. What you got to say to the city of Philadelphia in closing? This is, I think, your first real public one in Philly since all this mess.
I did a podcast for Marion Jones and Big Johnny. That was the first thing I did in months, and this is it. I mean, right here, Del. I can't thank you enough for giving me this platform to give my message out there to everybody in the city of Philly. Know that Philly's so near and dear to my heart, and I hope to be home soon. I'm going to pray for that. I know my wife and children would like that too. So thank you. I hope you'll receive me with open arms. I know 2021 is going to be a great year. Keep a great attitude. My one phrase for the year is embrace the present. Don't get too far ahead. Don't think backwards. The back is gone. It's gone. Everything in yesteryear is gone. So stay present, embrace it, love it. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2021.
Happy New Year, and send my holiday wishes to Mrs. Courtney and the kids, man.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it.
Happy New Year, fellas.
All right, man.
God bless. God bless.